Etonka pa mami.
Yo me da cinnamon pipe. And I'm at the Queen's Church, as Ghanaian SDA Church in Swasi. Say, Omo invite me, say, men so, Nenamon che, Apomode Assam, Intimida, so I'm penning for near Mark Winning in Ase. So, Omo invite me. Inti, I mention money, a best here, as I say, a lot of material to cover. Send your opinion, I am in the Freda say, me call Woodbridge Ghanaian SDA Church, sorry, Virginia. Into a little bit of my background. My degree is in nursing, but right now I'm in administration. Into that's a little bit about me. And then you become stress in your health. Stress is one of those very I said foundational topics that it really impacts health. Into at the end of the presentation what stress is and how it affects our health. And stress or crampono and then yama be to me set. So we're gonna distinguish and how it affects our body and what distinguish stress from other things. Nti yeah kono. Bible quotation me no me ye ebedi adesua enim no. Yehuno was Psalms 51 verse 22 and John 14 verse 27. Senya muhuno was screen no. See a Bible no more so many verses encouraging nyame pesa oboyen because when him say if you say ayetemi how never percent kwa nti say wa my any type of inspiration and uplifting one shot send your consumption no you best succumb to all the worries and troubles of the earth. Into I say cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. Psalm 55:22. And kind of what John 14:27 said, or say, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid. Yeah, twasono. Into Bible Busa said, what is stress? I didn't cry stress. See a dictionary more, almost define stress as a phenomenal or feeling of mental, emotional, and physical state of tension in response to a stressor or pressure or event. A bit to me, a real or imagined perception. Social science might be to me can say from the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. When him says I dare be confronted, say be bad, your body responds to it. Either say to prepare to react to sadia na ube facing and na your friend of fight or flight response. Either say ube face ya head on, and I say ube jane to run away from that stressor. Okay, and the next question is stress or cry to me are good and I said tembia bad. See, stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. In CBBC in short instances, ABI in the short term, stress it to me a positive. Yeah, I'm funny say ABI in the forest. No share ABI a wild animal be a over attack. So one responded to stress na ABI obejina ho or reacting na abuano abeye differences ne say. Anxiety, internal, a reaction to the stress. BBC, you know, so we have usually different personalities. BBC, but obi so they'll react differently. So that's the difference. The stress, is the response to an external cause. Sanya mekai no ebia weshia wild animal and I said you have a big deadline, a test, and I said one odofu be argue, those instances are stress. Sanya mekai betima a positive or negative, but say it becomes internalized then you have anxiety, which is the internal feeling you have based on situational ukomo. But Samia, the commonality, it's in because they both affect your mind and body. And they both give you some physical manifestations. Yeah, of course, all the different types of physical manifestations are stress, etimidema, and anxiety. So, you're not facing any threat, but wow, the way you're talking to yourself, it be a friend of negative talk or positive talk. If you don't know not, they just are anxious about everything. The whole day, they'll have anxiety about everything. Say, there's no immediate threat, krampona. They are constantly having anxiety. And then we also know, say, right now in the Ghanaian community, we don't talk enough about mental health. But there's a disorder, if your anxiety is not managed, it's good if you can seek professional help to help you. So there's different types of stress. Bakoya acute stress, and the other types of stress. But an acute stress is very brief and check. It doesn't last long. It's very common. I'm sure that every one of us have dealt with acute stress. So you have definitely dealt with acute stress. It's also caused by reactive thinking. Say, negative thoughts I see about a situation. And now I said, I want to have these goals. And how you're thinking about it into the stress. Also, you have an exam or something, deadline, you can easily experience acute stress. Stress is usually from the outside. And they have episodic acute stress. So people who frequently experience acute stress or whose lives present with frequent triggers have episodic acute stress. So sanya definition episodic tempia BBC na a trigger sa acute stress no. NT, that's the different type of stress that somebody can also have. They are overloaded by acute stress and episodes where the demand is so much that it's causing chaos and now crisis. And the third one here, chronic stress. So this stress is the most harmful. It's not said. Now we all know from even a lay person that chronic like just said. I will swatch it. BBI chronic BI is not good. It's not said you don't want any condition BI to become chronic, meaning more permanent. And it can have harmful effects for a long period of time. It will mental health and physical health. And that's what I'm saying. Say even in the Ghanaian community, I see a few ways that you bet me manage it through those things. Example, say if you're in a long-term abusive, relationship, and now say long-term unemployment or dysfunctional family, and now say can be brought on by substance abuse, unhappy marriage. Those different circumstances can give you chronic stress because you're not getting any relief. Now, signs of stress, we have a saying, money is the root of all evil. Stress is the root of all illnesses. If you look at healthcare professional, and I say you are familiar with science, a lot of the saying symptoms or signs and symptoms of or risk factors of a lot of diseases. Usually stress is one of those. Most often, I was saying about 99% of all these health conditions is usually by stress. Now, you'll see signs of stress, general aches and pain. Any type of bodybuilding or lifting weights, but you see you're experiencing pain, generalized aches. You can't sit still. Why you're nervous? You're having headaches. Meaning, say a couple of weeks ago, musia headaches, and easily we are jumpy. You're tired all the time. You can be sweaty. These are physical manifestations of stress. See, cognitive symptoms are idea how I dream. So when people are experiencing stress, especially chronic stress, now they have memory problems and they can't concentrate easily. Lose concentration, and it can be seen in how they make poor judgments. And I said, they only see the negative thing. It's hard for them to see anything positive in any situation. So now they become anxious. Now might internalize it, stress, and they are constantly worrying. Those are the cognitive symptoms. So emotional symptoms, if it's not managed, it becomes a mental health problem where people experience depression. And now say, they have anxiety again. Agitated, they're moody. Interacted with and as they feel overwhelmed, they usually are lonely and isolated. And yes, nipa na isolate but because almost that temper no, they are not easily able to be around people. It's hard to be in social settings, and it can also lead to other mental health problems. See, physical symptoms that stress can have on the body generalized aches and pains. We are heavily stressed when it becomes chronic, it can show as having either diarrhea or constipation, either one. And you can even have both in a period of time. Nausea and dizziness, chest pain. To me are so stressed they feel as though they're having a heart attack because they're having that severe chest pain and their heart rate is going very, very fast. And loss of libido. And it happens between men and women where you don't have any interest in sexual relations. And because why you're so stressed, your immune system is lowered. And you get those common colds and flu symptoms easily. And there's another thing people don't really know about it too much, but stress alopecia. Alopecia just means you're losing hair. And I'm not talking about little hair, but chunks and chunks of hair is coming out. You're experiencing bald spots. It's me and mama. That's the physical symptoms of stress. Yeah, I hope it's sliding. But basically, it's just showing the human body and all those things that stress affects it. So now, and you get the headaches. Stress can trigger intense tension headaches, heartburn, indigestion, rapid breathing, because you're stressed into your anxiety rate is high, and you're moody and not really managing yourself well. Because of the chest pain, it can even go as far as having a heart attack, because over time, the increased heart rate, air pump, it can elevate your blood pressure, damage the arteries, lead to heart attack. Pounding heart rate. So the stress hormones, it makes your heart pound because when you are faced with a stressor, and be like said, when you're walking in the forest or something, you come across the wild animal. The body is getting you ready to have a fight or flight response. Either say ube face now what fight it adiena airban and now say ube jane. So this shouldn't last chronically. And yes, the body can't stay this long in this state of attention. It releases hormones to manage the airban. So if it lasts on you a long time, it can cause so many problems with getting the blood pumped to the vital organs in your arms and legs. Fertility problems, said, loss of libido and fertility problems, And Titu and Ma, said we also have menstruation, monthly menstruation. It can also make it irregular, or you miss your menstruation time. And stress interferes with that cycle, and also with the reproductive system in both men and women. And it makes it harder, say true no. Internet, when you are faced with the challenge, say ope, award, net and ma, stress makes it even worse. So I know it's very difficult, but it just makes it even worse because the situation when we are stressful, award and ma, then you are also more stressed, internalizing it, a chronic, oh, drain, oh, yeah, this, and it's actually hurting your chances of actually getting conceiving. And then also erectile dysfunction, because your brain plays an important part in that process. And stress interferes with that. And manifested in erectile dysfunction problems. And Medika already said depression, insomnia, it makes it very hard to sleep or stay asleep. You're not able to maintain a long time of sleep. And intermittent constant stress is the root of most illnesses because not being able to sleep, so you need sleep. Sleep is extremely important for the health of your body. And it weakens your immune system. You don't have the proper immune system to fight against it. It increases your blood sugar because stress causes your liver to release extra sugar. So now the body is getting ready to respond to a stressor. And over time, it puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. And now high blood pressure, it tightens the blood vessels. Though when you are faced with a stress and you are in a state of stress, the hormones tighten the blood vessels. And it leads to high blood pressure because it's trying to pump it out. And digestive problems, stomach aches and diarrhea, constipation, those things, you can't decrease libido, some already. And tense muscles, those tense muscles, it leads to those body aches and pains, behavioral symptoms already. Some people have ineffective coping to stress. In they said they'll overeat or undereat. Not enough. They isolate themselves for others because they are depressed. They neglect their responsibilities or procrastinate. They become to use substance abuse to think that relax it, but those things actually lead to addiction and more stress. And they have nervous habits like biting their nails, pacing back and forth, and nyamasa. Okay, there's two causes of stress. One that you can't really do anything about, and one that you can control and do something about it. The external stresses, causes of stress, you can't really do much about it because some things in life will happen, like major life changes or death in the family. You can't control that. It can happen and you don't have any control. And we are, your friend is saying, we have to work, go to school, relationship difficulties, financial problems, being busy, children and family, those things can cause external stresses. Now, the things you can do something about are the internal stresses. There's nothing going on, but some people have a characteristic trait of talking down on themselves, being pessimistic. Like BBNC, and nothing negative has happened, but you are prone to talking yourself negatively and seeing things as doom and gloom. Inability to accept uncertainty. We don't have control. Like nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. So to worry about it constantly, no. Why do that? Because it's just harming yourself. Rigid thinking, you have to be flexible. And you have to be able to be flexible instead of saying things in a rigid way. I say you don't give yourself room to be flexible in your thinking. Negative self-talk. Some people do a lot, and we have all experienced this at one time or another. Maybe I'm not good enough. And I said, maybe it never worked out good for me. Those negative talk, it have effect on you. So you believe it, and it becomes something that it doesn't make you see anything positive. Unrealistic expectations, perfection. No one is perfect, and you can never attain it. All or nothing attitude. you have to be flexible and trying to control things you can't control. Make sure my time to make sure I don't go over. Stressful life events, and a kind of death of a spouse, that is extremely stressful. And ye bompayama obia wakos to size situation is very hard. But even with that, we can manage how we deal with it. It doesn't have effect on our health. Going through a divorce or marriage separation, being in prison, death of a family or close friend, injury or illness, marriage. Marriage is even stressful, even without any problems in it. It is very stressful. Children and the family is also stressful. Losing your job or marriage reconciliation, coming back to a broken marriage and mending things can be stressful. And retirement is also stressful. So the impact of stress, it has physical, mental, emotional, so many impacts on our body. But ineffective coping with life events, is also an impact. We have to learn to cope with stress because it's something that we can never get away from it. And Senya Mekai said, stress is the root of most illnesses. It can lead to cancer, hypertension, migraines, diabetes, mental health problems. And also, most of all, as Christians, it can mess our relationship up with God and distract us from the goodness He has for us. And how to manage stress. As Christians, we have to draw on our huge support system, which is God. And one of the things is worshiping. Stress often comes from uncertainty or pressure. As I see, we face that all the time. And it's easy said when you're going through that to draw away from God, but actually you have to draw to God. To manage the stress. So worshiping, even in the time of stress, is one of the best ways to manage it. And then the next thing, like I was saying, we all have gone through stress. You don't even feel like praying at times. But we should pray. One of the strategies is to become extremely prayerful at that time, because it will reroute your focus and your attention and your perception instead of focusing on the negative event. And I ask for help. Like I was saying, in the Ghanaian community, we need to destigmatize mental health and asking for help. Professional help if you need to. But and the first person I see a call named we shouldn't always run to our your friend is saying family members or our friends, or because they don't have the real strength. The real strength. But then again, we are social beings. So asking for professional help, but then going to God first and then asking someone to pray for you or pray with you, helpful. Until you don't have to carry the burden by yourself. And a community, as a church family, we have a huge community of believers. Until we can lean on each other. To me, I joined a community of prayer. Like we have that. Until it's good if you're tied to a church or a community of believers with the same like-mind belief to manage the stress. Simply asking someone for a prayer request is something just someone knowing said you are feeling weak right now and you want them to pray for you. Reading scripture. One of the best places to get strength from is drawing from the words there are a lot of encranshesam Bible. You can find so many in your day-to-day stresses. You are not the only person. I'll go through that. And then examine your load. One of the things that maybe you need to do in your life, you are experiencing so many stress. You have put so many things on you. You need to lighten your own load. And then don't compare yourself to somebody. It's very easy in this world, no set. You are looking at somebody else saying, so I wish I was measuring up to that person, or this person has achieved this and I'm not able to achieve that. So you need to lighten that load of thinking as well. Comparing yourself puts undue stress on you. And you don't have to be in any race or competition with anybody, but just focus on yourself to better yourself if that's your goal, to do that. But it's unnecessary and it's causing us burden. We need to examine it and let go of stuff. Meditation, very good. Meditation helps to manage stress. Just take some few minutes alone and just focus on being still and quiet. Those things are helpful in managing stress. And then most of all, as Kai said, we are children of God. We are inheritance of, your friend is saying, a divine heavenly treasure. It gives you a different perspective on how to manage your life and stress in this world. It's not say, it will come. The stressors and the troubles will come. But Yan Kai said, we have a mighty God who reigns. Okay, so I have a few questions and quizzes. We'll go through that really quick just to measure how stressed you are. And you can just think of it to yourself. I'll go through this fairly quickly. So there'll time for questions and comments. Okay, for number one, I find myself getting upset by very trivial things. And na ebia upel nyama in an orderly way. No obi emuvu bibi no amfa si baby a esino sesia na trigger or na obuofu. And I'm not talking about obuofu kitwebi or obuofu, a huge upset. You are upset about just that little minor thing. So we'll move wa dear free ha atoha. So it's just yes or no. Number two, I was aware of dryness of my mouth. This is talking about the physical signs and symptoms of stress. You have dry mouth. Okay, I experience breathing difficulty, rapid breathing from time to time, yes or no? The next one, I tend to overreact to situations, like you blow up over every little situation. The next one, I had a feeling of shakiness, like my legs were going to give away. Tembiano ase is manifesting you feel shaky and nervous. Okay, next one. I perspired noticeably. Like Tembia, you are sweating, have sweaty palms, even when you're not doing anything physical. That's the key point. Yes or no? Okay, next question. I find myself getting impatient when I was delayed in any way, like by elevators, traffic lights, or people keeping me waiting. We will be at road rage, traffic lights, and so that not you get impatient and upset. Next question. I felt scared without any good reason. Now you must show preoccuped, and you don't know why. You to show very easily. Next question. I was aware of my heart rate even when I wasn't doing anything physical. It's time so you must show no see now heart pounder very, very fast. Next question. I found that I was very irritable. Some of these questions repeat, but irritable means you are just extremely annoyed. Next question. I felt I was close to panic. Now panic. Now you lose control of yourself. Next question. I found it hard to calm down after something upset me. Ubufwa is very, very hard for you to calm down. Uyobia. Na ubufu. Now ubufu swa, it takes a lot so be calm down. Yes or no? Next question. I found it difficult to tolerate interruptions to what I was doing. Say, obi interruptua, anase bibi interruptua. You have it difficult to tolerate that. You have a hard time because you have a short fuse. Next question. I was in a state of nervous tension with what I was doing. Yes or no? Next question. I was worried about situations in which I might panic and make a fool of myself. Yes or no? I was worried about situations in which I might panic and make a fool of myself. Okay, all those questions, said if it was about 15 questions, if you answered yes to at least 8 of them, definitely you are impacted by stress. And you need to find a way to manage the stress. So your share illustration where as Christians, we need to draw on. So if you look at this picture with Jesus and then the disciples on the boat during the storm, so he's laying there asleep. The external stressors are there. This raging storm, the sea and the winds blowing. But how we react to it, the internal part of it, and then we need to learn to control. So in this world, even if we're dealing with all these external difficulties and challenges and demands, we should be able to look at the example of Christ. Even in the storm, take a good nap. Okay, so so we can have some good discussions. Just like I was saying, so we draw inspiration from Bible and Onyankopon asɛm. And bibi aniwa ewa asase so a emada. You think you might be experiencing something at emada, but it's not true. Let's look into the Bible. Who to you was the most stressed person in the Bible and why? Why not in the Bible? No, utimi who said this person was extremely stressed or go through a lot of challenges. Now why explaining your reasoning for picking that person? Now I'm my inspiration of how they overcame that stress or difficulty. Inti say no major hammer contributed to this discussion so it can be lively. That's it.
Yo, Sister Yami Shop say what man who connect with that false so now. This start is kuni amanye. Adafo mo asana member kwana me Yankoda radio and CB radio almost to me what lies so anything you win up person oksan ko TV ma put my YouTube okay ko test answer mu ina afi we hu de ebeboam sabi the member kwan so bi wasembusa anasem wa mpamocha se de yemi aba na che no na Freda abana de so na ewie mode madam as
so na mpacho shase why Bible character ben na who so you're more stressed our Bible more.
Maybe I make say Jonah.
Okay, adentra.
Cause Jonah who said, on my friend Iraq, and I say, capital Nineveh, no. Didn't say who happened to be Yankopon, a castle, Uncle Kansam China from Sacrano. Nay, oh, until no, or you're so stressed or call, and it's no Johnny fee when you mean himself or call Jopa. Namu hide. Then mono do Yankopon mana koyema bosukra fa to yim kra no wo ka sa mankofo no sakra kwa na ye ne ya ani ti bro kwete sa due we ase no kra no na wo bom pa san kokofo beti o hwe se we ya me be mamasa akwan na aba na se but na dwen pa de na nko e kan nko a na nka nkofo na asai enti no in that no all stress we say wo bom pa na so wo chances of being said no e stressful. Because say about happening and I say happening. Until maybe I make Kakameti Makana. That was it.
That's it.
painful. Me, I would suggest the Moses.
Okay.
Yeah, you there, even in the Bible, and kind of the indication is so stressed that Nana so had to intervene now or make suggestions how to handle it. Now, if there's any Israel for don't people debris, Eroko, promised land, now when I'm myself, so what you had to go through when I saw then, if you are not that stressful, you know, no, that's it.
That's it.
Yes, yes.
Me so me dey mechanic dey so or here so. If they know you're very stressful because she want to be like David. Now all the time no you're at peace because of David in tea. It is said okay say yeah may need some near your one no and I said you nyame dey see no. The first say David need so you be who say na so I guess David akobo no a one penasem no or no aso no kobo enyo man no to calm him down. Ye fat David asem no you said ye ka obi bibi anke ebu be fu na ye so ya stressful no instead no ordinary na che so ekobo dwuma no e ma ne calm ne down intimidate the mechanic ye I say on his so me that's it.
Yeah, that was man ofofro. And if you pay was 20 and it is okay,
There is no wrong answer. Over to me, the Biaba.
Me patrono ka Elisha ana Elijah eno Jezebel ka so be kuno no. Na ono so wa mobo no or stress out.
That's it.
Ofofro.
Bra more journal hono miss me de media papa. Esan say yeah my program no miss me ka say Hannah was very stressed. Esan say na ne fefo nyina wo na aka ono nko a ntini ni senema. Enti even kwa ko asori ho na obisi bisana no na osofo de say wabonsa. Osai wa manemu say na sofo address say wabonsa. And it's not a warning so much. It is a very stressful position. I know woman pa. Intimate so me dear, like I say, Hannah.
You know I said.
Hi, this is Marian.
Hi, Marian.
Hi, Freda. I was gonna say that Sarah was also very stressed when she was also trying to have a child and she couldn't, and then the angel came and said that she would have one, and she laughed. But prior to that, she had Abram, right? Have I guess a relationship with their slave Haggai, I believe that's her name, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that she was very stressed to the point where she gave her husband to someone else to have a child for her. So
yes.
Sarah would be my example of someone who is also very stressed.
Thank you.
Amen.
Maybe one question.
Okay.
What's so person how to manage stress no? So we go doctor. Oma we draw na say yes or ben we draw or the to calm your stress down.
Okay, some your friend is saying, I know say especially in this society, no, and I say American society, no, the Western medication, Western medicine, I'll say that Western medicine, no, they do a lot with medications to manage many conditions. I would talk to a professional because I'm not talking about the everyday stress at Bebano. Say, chronic stress, it is affecting your physical, your mental, is giving you mental health problems, you're not able to manage your life day to day, to where say a cripple, definitely at that point, in speaking with your health professional, suggestions and ask the recommendations for treatment. But if it hasn't gone to that extent to there are definitely other ways to manage it. But all those things now, I would highly recommend say, oh no, Dr. Nka, to see how severe ODI is. It's very hard to give recommendation online here. It's something that you should definitely talk to your health professional to see where you fall in getting treatment or help. And that's the question. No?
Yeah, I told me so. Doctor, there was a pan, Yamishra. Watch your baby. Pacho Misaka said, few rooster, a friend my drawer. The Pacho Miss Median say, Bible, Mama, no mastress out, no, Campesamica say, Job. Jobu of money who be by Sanya Walkers and who can say, see a dear who tunya men swa. And you may be yampa jobu yene namfo nyina no more stress there by jobu nya ahotoso ewe radi mo se nyame betimi aye tini ma mu nyina nyame sa ma ni bi e ma nyama ohwe nyina nyame ma no ntie mesumi de ni job
and that's the man
Mami pacho more question
pacho Freda.
Okay. I'm going to pay about 7:15. 42nd Street, building B, a friend around building. My name is Yatidia. Mammy B and also baby if you want committee sister from 60th floor. If you hear me, say no, the car say 1 to 2 million. And you can say a stress and answer idea no.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Very good. Part of awareness, I see educating on where suicide. Suicide is increasing even in the Ghanaian community.
Pacho, give me a second.
Okay.
Pacho, obi ne phone de kakra some obi an hwe ne phone na omieti. Me pacho. Somebody. Mama Pacho.
Suicide increase even in the Ghanaian community. Into idea, I see a raise awareness. And then I may kind of say, a binum etini, I mean, you're sure in a circumstance. Either say, on one, a disastrous natural also. Like there's so many addictions in this world. It be a gambling, a be as wako gamble, and or the capital non tinintia. And now say, wako live outside of the means. Say a biag, can't cut your coat according to your size, no. But wako live outside of the means and wabo capital. And now so I'm not sure the circumstance, but definitely no. That is a stress situation. Now, ineffective coping of stress, no, is suicide. It be our challenges now all facing, they seem like say you're hopeless. Now, Nipano, when you come to a point in your life, say you feel hopeless, then you want to end it all. You feel like say, wait, the situation you're hopeless. There's no hope in it. I cannot get out of it. The next thing I can do is say, make home. And it's unfortunate, but that is one of the ways that ineffective. Because say you get strength from Onyankopon, whatever situation, however bad or challenging or it looks impossible, no. Send a kind of Bible with God, all things are possible. Until no one should ever get to a point they feel like say in a situation they be mad. It is hopeless. And so to take care of the situation. Until those things, and definitely there's so many lifestyles that a bit to me put you in such a huge situation that it troubles with bringing back. Send a been gambling, drugs, alcohol, those type of lifestyle, it makes you have poor decisions that etinima stress and so eba outside of the year facing externally no. Yes, etimi the stress eba to ya so we have to lighten our load. Now there's no situation into so be there's so many hotlines that you can reach out for help if you are somebody experiencing that situation of wanting to commit suicide. I pray say you don't and seek help. No, be more right away because there's no situation that is hopeless. And that's it.
And there was a mama. There was a pa where you question a mama. The palm choice will be a question that said Moebia, a brain with him, the Abana, that tradition as well. The mass.
Your mama, Pochum couldn't be said there. Your a genetic disposition to stress and
I'm not sure about genetic disposition per se, but when him said you are as a human being or you are a product of your element, your surroundings and your upbringing and who your parents are. The way they grew up, no, like there's hot temper. And it has influence on a kola. Was that type of family structure, no. So you see it all around you. Say, papa, and that's all mama. And you see, say, your parents or one of your parents growing up in that household, no, how they deal with stress. And you also become somebody, you pick up on it, you learn it. Say, this is how this is how we deal with stress. Either say we abuse alcohol and now we abuse drugs, or we get hot tempers, or we don't cope well. Those things are learned behavior. And personality traits, it also gets passed down. And to answer your question, is definitely more so the product of the environment you grew up in. And they see what we do, not just what we say, but how we react and how we are dealing with things. That's how I'll answer that question. That's it.
And there was a mama. For her now. As I said more.
You, Mama, me drink 1 point or so. Defining stress and how we handle it, and it looks as if the cultural influences now then. If a definition as a prescriptions as a lot of cases, we will simply say that ebia obi na ori ya wa na beyifu bi na or rather than going through the medical aspects of it. And I don't know what you say about it. Now, how you build up some new perspective of the whole thing so that beyifu is something too much.
Yeah, that's a question. Yeah, it was a good question and a good comment as well. Yeah, we have cultural aspect to how we manage stress. Culturally, as Ghanaians, we have so many examples of where we think the stress is coming from. And I say challenges I face your life for more. But we need to look at how we can manage it effectively and not just focus on Sadiano. I'm not trying to say it's open someone, but we have something greater. Instead of say, thank you so much into that. I bet to me we need to look at how effective we can manage it. Intina additional mekasa, we need to worship and pray and draw from Onyankopon ahoɔden. Esan say yankasa ya ahoɔden there, we won't be able to manage it. Now, it's me caught to the realm of say you are having mental health issues. One of the things in Ghanaian community I think we need to be more aware is mental health problems. I see a normalize. I know it's in our culture, no. So be a mental health problem. Ni akase sebio ni panapodam anabisa. So we need to find a way to look at that aspect. And I say ni panaya possess. Sana culturally ni address sanya mano. But it's something yes, we can manage it and help that person to also function in society. Inti esi sanya mano not to say stigmatize the mental health. We all have problems with coping with stress. And now say bibi sanya kase so wapodamana se bibi no. We need to find a way to manage it. Nani panintimi function in society. That's it.
It was mama. From Cho, that's what breast, so be person KBBA. Akuyo, Damasi. Your best at 3 minutes. And son of mama didn't find out what about. Okay, that was a mama. Okay, now I think say you meditate on God, no. Number one, tina when he apply. It's and say you know who say Bibi no ma dinner. And into or however so say we kaka say and when you say about koya dan for business kwesiki advice. Rather no and say the kako nyame anim. Na ye bom paye yes no. Na me say yes sir or how are you come no nyame nim ko obafa so a Mama Bibia Ayedi, na young committee suicide. She said they are for you know, who you pay. Theodore was it.
Miss Freda said, the final thought and as a conclusion of the matter, and it says, Sene Kayano, as I see so is inevitable. We will be faced with stress, challenges, and so many stresses externally. No, dear, but the internal stressors, no, we manufacture ourselves, no, we can do something about it. You know, a situation, the way I perceive the situation, as I and as I have a perspective on that situation, no, and more about and how you cope with that situation. Intina mekaya, but the Intina mekana said we have to draw on Onyankopon. On the betting sustaining and wanting to overcome such challenges now we are facing. And definitely a bit to cope better by feeding on his word, drawing inspiration. There's so many people in the Bible, they probably went through more stress than we have. More stress. Binum di combined with Job, Moses, Noah, Nomsano, Saul, Ned, Paul. No. But we see how some of them managed to cope effectively. And then we have evidence of those that Oman Kupu well, it didn't solve, you know, or drawn themselves out free on Yankopon chain. But he should have been more drawn closer to Yankopon, Senya David, you know. And as an example for all of us, when we come with those challenges, no, let's draw closer to Yankopon and never point. Now, if it becomes something of a medical situation, we need to feel at ease to talk to the medical professionals or doctor, na jimwa, and also ebepwa. But senya opinion kayano, when with God all things are possible. Inti medamase for invitation or any enumerate talker yen